All right. It is 5 p.m. and usually we begin sharp. Hello, everyone. My name is Elza Priede. I am the managing director of Novatore, and it is my big pleasure today to lead this conversation. It's my first time leading the Mission Executive or Leaders Talk, which is our monthly live interviews about leadership and business with women leaders. And our speakers are successful and passionate professionals who will share their knowledge, experiences, and tips for professional growth. Some of our participants join live and watch the recording, watch the conversation now live, and some will watch the recording. Those who are here now are welcome to write their questions or comments in the chat and engage with us. Today, we have a wonderful guest, Novatore Club member, Jūlija Zandersone. Jūlija, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for invitation. And hello to everyone, wherever you are and whenever you are listening to this or watching this. I'm looking forward for a nice conversation that I hope is going to be a bit of inspiration for myself and also for everyone who is participating in that. And I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Jūlija. I will do my best to introduce you, and you please add when I finish. So, Jūlija, you hold many roles. You are a chairwoman of Iterum and head of PET Baltija's recycling sector. You are in supervisory council member at Tesil Fibres in Czech Republic. You are business trainer in Wind Partners, and you also are a speaker in conferences where you just shared your insights on leadership and photography in EBIT conference. And beyond the boardrooms, you capture landscapes through your lens and remind us to recharge in nature. I could continue and continue. Is there something you would like to add to what I mentioned already before? What should we know about you?
I think that a lot of us are wearing a lot of hats in their lives, and I've been passionate, and I've been. If you look at my career, at the very beginnings, I was doing a lot of project management in absolutely different areas. So that's how a kind of management and after that leadership grew on me. So I'm passionate about leading teams. I'm passionate about leadership overall, and I also believe that leadership starts with leading yourself. And I think I've been always a kind of this active role in life, and that's why I have so many hats. Because if I'm passionate about something, I always like to just get up and do that. And that's why it's working with several companies now in recycling sector, as you mentioned. Big production here in Latvia, where we recycle PET bottles, and we're also partly a shareholder of our deposit operator system. So all these taromats where you give your bottles. So we're one of the shareholders of that system, and all those bottles are going afterwards to the big production facility that I'm responsible for. And then also in the sector, as you mentioned, we have a company in Czech Republic that produces fiber material, also from these bottles or from virgin material. And that goes in very different applications, in medical, in hygiene. Also, probably the interior of your car is also made from this material, and other things like that. And then, yes, I'm a big fan of nature. I get out there, and having this, some people considering unorthodox hobby of photographing wild animals. So that's what I do. I travel around the world, and actually here nearby on the wall have a very big map pins in it, with the places I've been to and the places I still want to
Wow.
go to. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't turn my camera and show you, but yeah, that's what I do.
That's a wide span of areas you have worked in and are interested in, and your career has been in construction, engineering, and now environmental sustainability. What inspired you to transition from leading Citrus Solutions, from being CEO at Citrus Solutions, to becoming chairwoman in interim?
Well, actually, I've been working in different industries. Maybe Citrus Solutions is one of the most well-known, and because I also stayed there for I think something like 13 years, so it was quite a significant period of time. But there was a moment of time that getting into engineering and construction was something completely new for me. Before that, I was working for Latvia Post, and I was running responsible for all delivery services for post and parcels and press. And before that, I was working more with the automotive industry, and also running different projects there, marketing projects and IT connected projects. So I think it always been a kind of very diversified experience. And I have to say that I love engineering and I love construction. I really loved that industry because, and I still do, because for me, it's something that brings you very, very tangible results where you actually can go to your colleagues and your employees and say, you know, guys, many companies can put in their mission statements that they're changing the world, but we are actually changing the world, because I have some favorite places in the city where I go, and I know the street where I just drive along the street and I see different sites and objects, and I know, oh, my team worked there and my team worked there. And actually on all of these sites I was during the construction phase, and it was like 2 years ago the building was not there and now it's there, but actually there is a team that worked hard to bring it to life. So for me, it always been a lot of inspiration that you have this very tangible result. At the same time, for me, I think having this wider view on a lot of things was always important. For me, it gives this drive for self-growth and development. And in Citrus, I think it was a certain point of time that I got to that I was thinking that, okay, we did a great job. The company grew enormously, and I have a team that I'm proud of, and still this company can do exciting things. But of course, there are also certain restrictions to that. Keeping in mind that it's owned partly by the state, so that also brings you some definite limits to that. And then I just got to this idea, you know what, I think this company, that I need something different, and maybe this company, after all of this time, needs something different, maybe a different perspective that will give it another push. It doesn't matter that somebody's better or somebody's worse. It's just different periods that you need different people to come in. So, and I had different options on the table, but of course, for me, I was looking for area and industry that just would click. And for me, of course, being so much fond of nature and taking care of kind of these things and being close to my values, when we discussed a lot with the shareholders of PET Baltija what their vision is and mission is, and how they want the group of companies to develop, then I just thought, yeah, there is the click. I see myself there. So yeah.
And is your educational background also in engineering?
Well, I have a degree from Riga Technical University, which master's degree, and this Riga Technical University at my time, you could get this joint degree of engineering and business administration. So that was the first degrees that I got, and after that I continued my education more in MBA and executive studies and so on.
Yeah.
So I don't have this specific engineering education, but I think that I have something in my mind wired in this kind of structured way. Actually, when I was still going to school, and I think a lot of those things are thanks to the parents and thanks to your environment that you have in your family. And I was growing up in basically 80s and 90s, and that was that period of time. I had a lot of discussions with my parents when I was finishing school, where should I continue my studies? And of course, I wanted biology, but you need to understand it was 90s. And when you were saying, I want to go in science, I want to go in biology, my parents were saying, you do whatever you want to do, but first you get education where you can actually earn some money, and then you go and do what you do. So that's how I got into engineering and also economics. But before that, as I was good in mathematics, my mother pushed me to go through particular tests, and I was studying software development as a program actually while I was studying still at school for I think 4 years or so quite long period of time. And I think I'm not really a software developer. However, nowadays I think with artificial intelligence tools you can do a lot, but it wired something I think in my brain, having this structured approach to things and really kind of loving this engineering stuff. Also laughing with my husband at home sometimes while we were constructing and building our house. He was responsible, so he's in construction, he was responsible for construction, but everything that is going with the systems and with the cables, that's to me.
Well, that's impressive. Nowadays with all the electronics and everything, so that must be a big undertaking also at home. Great.
I was just staying curious about that.
Yes. And reflecting on your career and your path, what were the defining moments or decisions that changed or shaped your leadership journey?
I'm not sure that I can pinpoint a particular decisions in the leadership, but I think that what influenced definitely a lot is working with good managers and good leaders afterwards. And I think I was always maybe a little bit intuitively good in choosing those people I see as my managers or my direct managers. And always a kind of approached it not like somebody's recruiting me and looking at me as that just direct report who can do the job, but my approach always was, okay, there is the person with whom I would work and who would be in a way responsible for my work together with me. So can I learn something from this person? Am I inspired for this person? Do I kind of really want to have this connection? And I'm rationalizing it now. At that point of time, it was more a kind of intuitive decision. You have this connection, you see, okay, there is something interesting that I want to learn, or something interesting that I see. And I think I was through these choices, I was very, very lucky with the people with whom I worked. Or lucky, maybe not the right word, because in a way, sometimes I had cases that I realized, okay, this is not for me. But then I think I somehow managed in a way those situations that I kind of got out of it, and I got in another division or something like that. You just understand, well, this is not the right place for you. And I think a lot of I was a lot inspired by leaders that I had and with whom I was growing. And then at some point of time, you realize that okay, maybe you don't have as much direct manager anymore, but you still get inspired by leaders. It's just maybe not your direct manager. You get inspired by leaders that you have all around you. You just get to this different level.
Can you name a couple of characteristics that you admire in people?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In a way, I think we maybe admire those things that are values that are close to us, that resonate somehow emotionally. I definitely admire courage, but courage not that you will jump from the plane, but courage. I think sometimes it takes even a lot of courage just to live your life and understanding that you are responsible and you're accountable for how you live your life. And in many cases, it asks for a lot of courage. I admire curiosity, good, smart curiosity, and asking questions, and not accepting status quo if you think that this status quo is not right, and asking questions, and then having the courage and go and do something about it. I always start, just to give you an example, of course, working for construction industry and now for production. Of course, work safety is very important. And when I talk about work safety, I always show the colleagues a small cartoon where there is work safety related incident. And then we have a discussion about who is responsible for that. And I usually hear a lot of like, oh, the person who didn't put all barriers right, or the person who didn't look the right direction, and so on. But actually, the correct answer from my point of view is that everyone who was looking at this situation and did nothing about it, but actually had the physical ability to do that. So this staying active in your life, and if you feel inspiration is definitely something that is important for me. And this active approach to doing things. Okay, you don't like something, what are you going to do about it? And also working with a team and being finding this right balance between emotional intelligence and being very being very demanding.
Getting the results.
Yeah, and getting to the results. So finding this right balance, being humane is definitely very important, but not not without asking results.
I agree to what you said. Would you say that these are like you named kind of 5 things? Would you say those are C-suite essential skills these days?
From my perspective, definitely. Probably, especially if we're talking, of course, about soft skills. There are still a lot of hard skills that we need to have. And probably everyone who is working in this leadership level will always add something that maybe is specific for each particular person.
And these values and characteristics are in the organizations that you work in, right? Do you also volunteer, or?
Well, I used to. Not at the moment. At the moment, like people usually say that it's not true that you don't have time. You have time for everything that you put as your priority. So that's why the honest answer would be, at the moment, it's not on the priority list.
Mhm.
So I moved away from that at the moment, but it doesn't mean that I wouldn't be coming back. Talking about companies and having those values there, for me, I think the challenge and the most interesting process also in changing workplaces is that when I joined the company, we are now going through quite big transformational process and culture change process.
Mhm.
Because we see that also these values can bring the company forward and bring some qualitative changes that are really necessary in order to stay in the market and stay in the competition and to be able to compete not just with the lowest price that unfortunately we can't even do anymore, but compete and being strong in the market with really added value things. And if you want to have added value things and not just do things faster, not caring about development and not caring about sustainability among other important issues, then in a long perspective, you will be out of competition, out of the market. So I think all these soft skills and all these values become more and more and more important, of course, coming from the leaders of the company, so that the company can grow and can develop.
Mhm. And you work in multiple countries and in multiple sectors. Do you see any differences?
Well, yes and no, because definitely I always kind of try to avoid the stereotyping, special of mentalities, because I think it's uh, we as people as or we need stereotyping. I don't understand why we need it, because it makes the process easier, it makes the process faster, and from the perspective of human race evolution, I think stereotyping was essential for our survival. You know, that those animals that are coming from those area are all angry, and those animals who are coming from those area maybe not so angry. So that's why you see where, in which environment you can survive. Nowadays, still, of course, stereotyping makes things easier. On the other hand, it's maybe making things less relevant in some cases. So we are maybe main activities that I'm working with are in Czech Republic and in Latvia. But if we look at the shareholders and with the colleagues from which countries they're working, we're actually quite multinational. We have people from Lithuania, from Italy, from, of course, Latvia, from Bulgaria, from Poland, from Czech Republic. And of course, there are differences in mentalities, and we have to acknowledge that. But still, at the same time, I'm trying to train myself and also to train my colleagues, so that those Czechs, those Polish guys, they're like that. They're like that. Well, how do you feel when you say like, those Latvian guys that are like that? We still kind of want to say, okay, but we're all kind of different, and the same, and also in other countries, people are different. Of course, there is certain history, and I think it's always important to know when you work in different countries, this historical context and development. It might bring more understanding about this mentality and how people think and why they think like that. But still, you need also to understand that all people are different.
Mm-hmm. And then you take the tools in your leadership toolbox to find the way to every person individually, right? In your team to
Well,
help them.
well, in In my case, of course, in the leadership team, because
Mhm.
otherwise, if I would be looking for every person in the in the company I'm responsible for, then it will be a big stretch of my resources. But working, of course, with the leadership team and working also with shareholders and stakeholders, yes, you need to find a way to work with the people individually.
Mhm. How big is the organization?
Well, if we're looking at just in Itarum and Tesil Fibres in 2 countries, it's around 500 people.
500. Quite large. And you have been in the C-suite and above for multiple years. I have been only for one. Do you have any advice for me and for others who either aspire to get to the C level or are there already now?
Oh, well, there are, I think, many things. Well, first of all, I think for every person and every especially C-level leader is important to know where your strong points are and where your not so strong points are, and see how you can thrive and leverage your strong points, because that's what got you there. And the things that maybe are not your strongest suit, and we need to be honest that every one of us has it. Of course, look how you can develop them, but at the same time, look and see what other people in your team have maybe these skills as their strongest suit. And the leadership role is not actually doing just the stuff. The leadership role is work with people, work with teams, and your responsibility is to make team the strongest possible. And it doesn't mean that you need to have the same people on the team. It means that you need to have different people on the team. You maybe need to have people single-minded in a way that they want to achieve something, they want to do something, they strive to move towards the same goal, but they need to be different. You need to have this diversity in your team, and maybe sometimes work even harder on improving your strong things and strong skills, because this is where you thrive. And think how you give this opportunity to compensate in a way, but to thrive also for other people. And never stop learning. But I think it's not about leadership; it's about everyone learning from everything and everywhere and all the time. So personally, for me, it brings a lot of inspiration, learning new things every day, learning from my colleagues, learning from conferences and internet and everywhere. So I think it's amazing.
Thank you so much for the advice. The series is called Mission Executive, with the mindset and ambition kept in mind. And for professionals who are aspiring to reach the C-suite, could you name any key stepping stones or experiences that could accelerate their journey?
I think if somebody wants to move further and grow in their career and grow in leadership roles, I think that, as I mentioned, first of all, staying courageous and staying curious is essential. I think it's also important to, being courageous means not being afraid to make mistakes. Also, anyone will make mistakes, and that's normal. That's how we learn. And through that, taking upon themselves new jobs, new tasks, new responsibilities, do more than you're asked to. And not even directly in your job responsibilities, but try to train yourself, train your brain to have this wider perspective. Maybe there is not exactly your task. Maybe you have a task or something you can help with in somewhere else in your company, or maybe you go and volunteer, or maybe you do something else on the side. So a kind of having this wish to take responsibility for something. Of course, it makes you maybe work more. It keeps you more accountable. You kind of maybe risk more, but it gives you this possibility for growth and also inspiration for growth. And it will be bad moments when you will feel that, okay, I don't know how to do that, or why have I started that? And then there are going to be low points, definitely, but those are the best ones. Because when you get out of those low points, you get your high points and you've learned a lot, and you move forward. And some things, mostly when we see that those are not doable and they're so big, actually they become much smaller when you start doing them. So then it's like there is a nice, I think, analogy about running, because also for me, the most difficult thing about running is to put your shoes on. So spend 2 minutes to put your shoes on, lace your shoes, and get out, and then you will go for a run. So maybe if it seems like huge job you have to run for an hour, but actually to be able to run for an hour, you need to find those 2 minutes. So the same with any task that you're taking, maybe something that you don't know or you don't want to do, or you need to push yourself even harder. Just push yourself for this small first step, and then things will start aligning. So kind of constantly pushing yourself, but in a good way, and having fun in that, understanding that it will all come to your benefit sooner or later.
Do you still get those low points that you mentioned?
Oh, absolutely, of course.
How do you
balance that? Differently. Sometimes you get your low point, and you are capable of approaching rationally. So, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I do different, and so on. But we're all human, and sometimes I need, okay, what's wrong? I breathe for 10 minutes. I go for a run. I go for a swim. I go out with my dogs. I do something that I love, or that I can have fun. And then I come back to it. Actually, a lot of answers to my internal unanswered questions I get while jogging, because it's my kind of meditation, or while I'm sitting in the woods and waiting for next bear to come along, and and then it just comes up. And some things, they just need time. Some things maybe need that you need to sit and do this structured analysis and understand what went wrong and what you can do differently. Sometimes you need to have a good sparring partner. Sometimes you need to have a person nearby with whom you can just ventilate. And I think all these are self-leadership, self-management tools that everyone should have in their toolbox to use in order to grow.
Different tools in different situations, right?
Yeah.
And getting to know yourself also, I think, is very important. Learning about yourself, also being curious about yourself, and trying.
Absolutely. And welcome feedback. Welcome, and yes, it also asks for a lot of courage. Welcome feedback, and also being strong enough to recognize which feedback is constructive and actually will help you grow, and which feedback is destructive, and then just ignore it.
You mentioned courage a lot, and it really resonates with me. Do you remember how were you like as a kid? Were you also brave and curious and adventurous?
I was I was a quiet kid, so I could spend the day with a book or being very well behaved and so on. At the same time, there were particular triggers, like for example, when I was growing up, there was a big deficiencies in the shops.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were very long queues, for example, to buy some butter. And I also had to stay in the queue together with my parents because then they would get, I don't know, 50 or 100 grams more butter because it was a person. So and these queues could be there for hours. And of course, for
Mm-hmm.
kids, staying for hours in the queue, oh, it's impossible. And I was very well behaved. You could put me in the queue and I will stay there. There's no problem. Unless there is a cat passing by. And then I just forget what I was doing there. What was it? So just following the cat. And then my parents can find me on the other side of the city. So basically there was no filter at that point of time. So I was always a kind of, there are things that I like or I stay curious about, like, for example, grandparents went, nowadays it wouldn't be allowed. So you can't leave a kid alone till, I think, what, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So in my childhood, nobody really cared. So my parents really loved me, but they didn't really care in that matter. So you could leave a kid, and kid was watching a cartoon, and they went to a shop not near, somewhere nearby, and we had this old TV with lamps,
Mm-hmm.
and the problem was that it can get on fire. So and it got on fire. So whereas I just took it off from the socket, I put a blanket on that and went to the neighbors to continue watching the movie. So the cartoon, so the grandparents go, okay, they can feel the smoke, and the kid is not there. So, but I just made an executive decision on my life. I want to continue watching the cartoon, and just neighbors nearby. There's not a problem. I did not disappear anywhere. So basically, what is the problem? So in a way, I was very quiet, but if I want to do something, I make my mind to it. I just go and do it. And,
Mm-hmm. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
no, no, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then you could do anything you want and you didn't have to lead the way or follow. You were independently roaming around.
Yeah, well, of course, when I was a kid, I always wished I had siblings, but
Yeah, right. We were talking about leadership. Do you believe women lead differently than men? You mostly male dominated, is it right?
yes, mostly male dominated industries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, what I noticed when I started a kind of leading management teams in the companies, more and more women come
Mm-hmm.
and join. So differently, of course, women are not better leaders as men. It's you can't compare. It's just and even leadership styles and approaches. I think it more depends on a particular person than on gender.
Mm-hmm.
But this being said, of course, I definitely believe that you need to have as diversified team as possible in terms of having better quality decisions. You
Mm-hmm.
still need to have like-minded people, and you need core values to be aligned so that it's not like where each of us is looking in different directions. But you need to have these different opinions, and you must give voice to these different opinions, even if they do not align with yours. Um, and I definitely see more and more women in leadership, and maybe I've been lucky with companies or group of companies or corporations I've been working with that they kind of always welcomed women in leadership roles. But of course, I see it as a very, very changing environment, and there is still a long way to go to have this really kind of equal approach and good, healthy diversity in leadership.
A little bit more about leadership and growth. So many women approach us looking for a mentor or seeking some guidance. Have you had a mentor or mentored yourself?
I've been a mentor. I was a long time ago. I was mentor also for young people. I was participating in Go Beyond program, working with young people. I think definitely also being leader in the company. If you have this culture that is based on trust and mutual respect, you anyway become a mentor for some people, and this way or the other. We also had, of course, a formalized mentorship program in Tesil Solutions. So I was participating in the formalized one as well, working with my colleagues. Myself, I definitely had mentors. It was both in formalized way, more kind of shorter period of time, and way when it's not formalized, and in many cases maybe it's your at some point maybe it's your direct boss who is also your mentor. In some cases, I even had a competitor with whom we had well, it was there were competitors, but we also had this customer and supplier relationship, and there were problems with one particular project, and those problems we had to sort them out, and it was difficult and complicated because our shareholders had really conflicting objectives, and we had they were shareholders, but at the end of the day it's us as managers that have to sort the situation out to the biggest benefit to our shareholders, and we sorted it out. But the way we were doing that, and also keeping after that very good personal relationship, I got this feeling that I've learned a lot along the way, and how these difficult and conflict situations can be managed. And then transferring that relationship, you know what I'm wearing is something, there is a question I can call and ask, unless it's of course not connected with some commercial issues. So I think mentorship is not something that is always formalized. When it's formalized, it's good, but you need just look for those people you can learn from, or you aspire from, or you have great respect, whom you can ask a question, and who can you sometimes go say, oh, do you mind if I ask you this or that, or do you mind maybe sharing this, or maybe would you like to have a coffee, or something like that. And I sometimes find it even more efficient than just having a very structured mentoring process.
Yes, when you say structured and formalized, do you mean 1 year within certain program? Yeah. And
for example,
is just to approach someone and say, you inspire me, or I want to learn from you and talk to you. Okay, thank you. I'm looking at the time. We have approximately 10 minutes for the conversation, so I would like to invite our participants to send in questions in the chat in case you have any. And while they type, I want to hear a lot about the photography. You find inspiration behind the camera lens, and you're capturing the landscapes and animals and wildlife. How did it start, and how does it happen? How do you find locations? Where do you go? What do you do? Tell us about it.
I'm not sure how it started. It's some because I had a camera in my hands since I was a child. My grandfather introduced me to a camera, so I started taking pictures with old Soviet time film cameras, and just learning the technical basics, and developing in a dark room with a red lamp. Basically, dark room was our toilet bathroom, and uh, and then kind of, as I've been always passionate about animals, I don't know, I'm born with it. It's just part of me. And at some point it just came like very naturally together. I just became curious and started taking pictures more and more and more from animals, and then it came, maybe I can switch from cats to actual wild animals, and then it's a kind of started. And it wasn't like I didn't meet any people in Latvia who would be doing wildlife photography at that point of time, or something like that. Just, and then I started looking for it and develop in that area. So I've been doing it for many years. I don't know, at least 25. And there is a certain there is a list of species that I want to take, that I want to photograph in the wild. It's the list is absolutely subjective. There is no like story behind that, like red book list or something like that. Just I don't know, just animals I like. And then and then I decide that, okay, maybe this time I want to go and try to photograph this wild animal. And then you learn about this animal, you learn a lot, and then you look for the best areas, where to go, when to go, how to go. And then you look also, what is the environment, what other animals are there, then you learn about them. And basically that's my way, probably learning about the world. And then you look for the way to do it, and then you learn patience, a lot of patience, and a lot of kind of it's not guaranteed. If you spend a lot of money and a lot of time and you go somewhere, you still need to realize you're not going to the zoo. So it doesn't mean that you will see these animals. So and sometimes you need to go not one time and twice and three times and five times and maybe 10 times, unless you get this luck, because you can do everything. You can learn, you can study, you be in the right place at the right time. You can, but there is a certain limit till which you can do things that actually depend on you, and then it's luck. Whatever
It is.
happens. Yeah.
Have you
And
had a
for me,
yeah, where you go
for
and you
me,
don't meet that animal?
when I go what?
When you go to a specific location to make a photo shoot for a certain type of animal and you don't meet it?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a kind of this. It's also I think for me it wouldn't be that interesting if it would have been easy. That's the point. I think part of this being interesting for me, that it is difficult. And it brings more value to it, and especially this value, well, one thing's when you're taking pictures, but another thing is there are a lot of moments that are not in the pictures because well, technical restrictions, or sometimes you just want to take this moment in. And when you're behind the camera, you don't feel as present as you would be looking not through the lens but with your own eyes. And then there are some cases you just don't take pictures, you just take the moment in. And for me, I think the biggest value that you get this very very kind of sensitive connection with a wild animal. It's just, and of course, I'm not trying to humanize the animals, the wild animals, but it's a kind of, you get this. It is looking at you. There is some emotional connection that is there, and then on blink of an eye, it disappeared. But those connections are extremely valuable for me. It is a kind of, it grows in my heart.
Mm-hmm. Do you go alone?
Well, I go very different. I don't, except for a couple of occasions, I don't go with my family because you have to be it's a very specific area. You have to be a big fan of that. You have to be, like, for example, now over our holidays, I will be going to Spain and try to photograph Iberian lynx. But it basically means that I will spend a week just sitting in a hide. And you can't bring food with you because it all smells and all different, and you have to bring a lot of patience, and you can't bring like sounds and smells and things like that, because it will all scare the animal. So you need to have this, you really have to want it to be able to do that. And so sometimes I go alone, sometimes I go with a group of like-minded people, and sometimes there are just small groups, like 4 or 6 people, but we know that we are kind of looking for the same things. And sometimes it's just me and a guide. So in many places you can go without a guide, but I definitely won't recommend. So, and then it's just 2 of you.
Do you have a favorite animal?
Oh no, I think every time I come from somewhere, it's my favorite animal. So it's I think that I do have something special for cats and bears. Like, there is some kind of connection, but then I think I'm more into larger animals, something like that. But I can't pinpoint a particular. Yeah, and then at the same time, I love snakes, for example. You can't say that's a big animal. So, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cats and bears. I think I feel the same. Big cats also, like
Yeah,
panther
big,
lions. Yeah.
yeah, big cats and the bears. But at the same time, I like orcas or also. So it's complicated.
And if someone asks you to choose an animal that represents you, which one would you choose,
Mm,
if any?
oh, that's a very difficult question. I think I will probably choose my cat, because over the years she became very similar to me. We have very strong connections. So probably
Yeah.
my cat, not any cat, but my cat.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I have many more questions. All right. Here we have one question, and let's grab a question from the chat. All right.
Yeah.
You see, Ania is writing, as I'm working in retail company, packaging is very close topic to me. What are the biggest difficulties you see in sustainability and packaging in the future?
Well, I think that um, nowadays we already have very good technologies and a lot of very good innovations in terms of possibilities to recycle packaging and also produce new packaging from recycled material. I think a lot of very good technologies are there, but there are 2 things. First thing, the problem is, I think, is collection. And a lot of this responsibility goes to us as consumers. We need to think about better collection systems. If we're talking about PET, for example, the deposit system is a perfect collection system, because from deposit material, from all bottles that are being connected, basically 80% will go into new bottles, and only about 20% will go to waste, because the quality of those bottles is not good enough. still, I think we have, of course, we're doing all probably waste sorting, but there is still a long way to go to make this sorting so good that we will get much more material from this packaging for possibilities of being recycled. So this is one thing. The other thing is that I think global economy and the global competition also between the countries. So looking what is now happening in the world, that okay, Europe is with is about Green Deal and sustainability, but I think that it becomes more and more and I understand why, because Europe, comparing to other big regions and big countries, is not very rich with natural resources. Comparing, for example, with the US or with Russia and so on. So Europe had to look for other ways to be competitive in a global economy market. And sustainability definitely, I think, is the strategy for the European market that was developed. At the same time, I think with current politics, it is more and more challenging to keep it as a strategy. And now also looking that maybe more funds will be going in other sectors that do not really care about sustainability as much as we are talking about defense, for example. It's just because there are different priorities, and it's very understandable. So I think these global politics and global priorities, because, for example, Europe still imports a lot of so-called virgin material. So it's material that is not recycled but produced from basically from oil. And we import a lot from Asian countries. And now, as it will be more difficult for them to import in the US, more maybe also coming in European Union. And also, if US starts on extracting more and more oil, they will have more their internal so-called virgin resources. So I think also global politics takes a big role in that, because at the end of the day, if the company is producing I don't know, food, beverages, any other products that need packaging. Of course, packaging is very important in terms of marketing and positioning the product on the shelf. At the same time, it's not the product itself. It's something that is a cost position in your P&L. And companies are always looking for, of course, sustainability targets and ESG reporting and everything that is put from regulation perspective, but they're always looking for how to get to the better profitability. And there is a certain point in price when in the cost, when they start to understand, okay, this cost is too high for keeping recyclable packaging, and we will go for less sustainable or virgin material. So there are a lot of factors that I think influence that.
Thank you for sharing. We have to move to the wrap up slowly but surely. And I want to ask you a question about Novatore. Does the Novatore movement resonate with you personally, and does it mean anything to you?
Probably if it wouldn't mean anything to me, I wouldn't be here. So basically, even me being here is an answer to that. For me, having quite a long-term career in male-dominated industries, I saw a lot of benefit from attracting women working working these areas and in different positions. Sometimes in leadership roles, sometimes in engineering roles, for example. And what I experienced that those historically male-dominated industries benefited from having more women joining their teams greatly. And that's why I always saw my role, in a way, inspiring women to go and participate in those exciting industries like production, like construction. That there is so many things you can do that are not a kind of just physically difficult. There are a lot of interesting and exciting things. So that's why Novatore resonates with me, and on different levels, not only C-suite and management level, but also on other levels where women can find their place in very exciting and very interesting industries that maybe historically were male dominated.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And if it is possible, if you could sum up everything that we talked about in three key takeaways from yourself on leadership and philosophy, what could be the pieces of advice for club members?
Be brave, stay curious, and always look for more.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last one.
And always look for something more.
And always look for something more. Wow, nice. Well, you have found your big passion, and it's really, I can see how much you like it when you talk about it. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much for generously dedicating your time and energy to empowering other women. And thank you for saying yes to new opportunities when we invited you.
Yes, thank you very much, and have a great evening, everyone.